My homie did a clip I wanted to check out. We was gonna talk about it after he speak, but he definitely got some good information. So check it out, y'all. We'll see what it do after we
Sure.
talk about it.
Let's just jump straight into it, man. Everybody from the East Coast to the West Coast is talking about this federal takeover with Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. And I thought it might be some insightful information to talk to my viewers, because I wanted to make this video specifically for people that's from my city, Washington, D.C. But I appreciate the support of people from all over the country. So I also want to speak to people that's all over the country that may not have a real understanding of what's going on inside D.C. in comparison to what they talk about on Fox News or CNN. You know, now I seen on the news, I watch those things. They cover downtown by the Washington Monument, the National Mall.
Here, National Guard soldiers last night could be seen in uniform, some with Humvees. They were around the monuments and the National Mall. They were staying mobile for a time and then changing locations. Now, of course, D.C. is a big tourist town, and visitors are aware of what's going on. They've seen the National Guard, and they've heard that the president has taken control of the police department. Some are concerned about all of this and the visitors, but also people involved in tourism. They're concerned that this could scare visitors away.
I'm a guy that's from Washington, D.C. I'm from inner city Washington, D.C. I'm from Northwest Washington, D.C., but I've lived all over the city. I travel all over the city in the urban areas. For a person that's from Washington, D.C., a Washington, D.C. native, we rarely encounter U.S. police or U.S. agents, okay? Now, federal police are always here. If you hear me talk about how life is in DC, I always speak about it being 20 or 30 police agencies here, you know, for guys that come from the streets. One of the reasons why we operate a little differently than some people from other places that is because we're always under some type of law enforcement scrutiny here. However, the U.S. Marshals, most of the time in Washington, D.C., we only see them if we go to court or if we have a warrant. Secret Service police, Capitol Hill police, FBI, DEA, and U.S. Park Police. We may see U.S. Park Police. We may see U.S. Park Police if we ride through a park, right? But we don't really encounter them regularly here. We encounter the D.C. Metropolitan Police regularly here. So one of the things that's changed for a regular person to live in D.C. with this federal takeover is that when you walk down the street now in your hood, you go to the curry out, the liquor store, the gas station, as opposed to encountering the regular police or the jump out police, which is a vice squad looking for drugs or guns. Now, a person like me in the hood from Georgia Avenue to 8th Street to Southern Avenue, I see FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshals, Secret Service. I went to the gas station, Secret Service, plain clothes with the vestments in there. I went to the curry out 1 in the morning. FBI and DEA was outside with the Metropolitan Police.
The people's out. Asian chicken. They got the peoples out here. Yeah, boy, got them peoples out. This don't look like a ghost town. Got the peoples out there.
I also want to address two things in this video. That's one, who is really in control of the DC police? Now, Muriel Bowser has made several comments and remarks saying that Pamela Smith, which is the DC police chief, is still in charge. However, I'd like to challenge that. If the mayor and Pamela Smith, which is the DC police, had to go answer to Pam Bondi, then she's not totally in charge. Now, they want to say it's a partnership. Okay, cool. But who is really in charge, who Trump is calling the administrator, is a person by the name of Terry Cole, which is what this video is really about. I want to explain to people in D.C. and people from afar who is Terry Cole, who is in charge of the D.C. police, which is going to govern local crime in D.C. and what they are about. So, in general, for those who even care, Terry Cole has a long, over a 2-decade history and background in law enforcement. So this is what I want people to know. Terry Cole is overseeing the DC police force. Now, who is Terry Cole? Terry Cole is in charge of the DC police force, okay? When Pam Bondi was placed in charge of taking control of it, the person that they put in charge of actually running this stuff is a dude by the name of Terry Cole. Terry Cole is actually the head of the DEA, that's the Drug Enforcement Administration, okay? He was on the streets last night making traffic stops with the regular police, searching cars and arresting people. That's how serious it is, okay? Cole is the newly sworn in head of the DEA. So for people that's from different cities, you from Philly, you from Detroit, you from Chicago, you from Baltimore, you from Oakland, don't listen to all this stuff on the news that Trump is going to come in and take over. Trump may be able to send some National Guards into your city and post up and this and that, right? But Trump cannot take over your city like he's taken over our city, because our city belongs to the federal government. States have rights. So don't let CNN or Fox News or nobody scare y'all into thinking that, oh, Trump will take over our police department like he took over DC. He will do that in New York City. He's going to do that in Baltimore, Chicago. Terry Cole. Let's get back to Terry Cole. So DEA taken down now. These are some of the other things that Terry Cole was known to do and has a history to do as far as his background, because I want people to understand what is his background and how it may impact the DC Police Department, okay? So he spent more than 20 years with the DEA taking down drug traffickers from Canada to Mexico to Colombia to Afghanistan, all right? He's also most recently served as Virginia's top public safety official. He spent 22 years with the DEA. He spent time in Colombia and Afghanistan and Mexico City. That was the other thing. So he well versed in some of this drug activity, drug trafficking and different stuff like that. He was part of this thing called Plan Colombia, where he was down there in Colombia covertly fighting drug cartels and this and that. And there's a lot of stories about this, articles written where DEA agents were fatally shot and lost their life, and he was evacuated from Colombia because of this. So he done been through a couple things as well, right? He later served as a DEA supervisor in Dallas, targeting Mexican groups. He retired from the DEA. He retired just in 2020, and now he's back. He retired from the DEA in 2020 while serving as the director for Mexico, Canada, and Central America. He plans to use his background to have an impact on the DC police. So for people from DC, understand that the direction of the DC police, from the gun squad to the jump outs, NSID, everything may change. So don't get too locked in on this 30 days thing, because Trump has already filed or requested the Congress to extend it more. Regardless, this is what's going on in Washington, DC right now. Back to Cole. Cole at the DEA, this is the type of people he was in control of. DC only has a police force of like 3,100 people. He's in control of 10,000 employees at the DEA. As he serves as this federal administrator to the police, their main aim in DC is to crack down on violent crime. Now, if you look at the news want to make it seem like it's all peaches and cream. I've made a couple videos about it, and I'm going to constantly document the interaction between federal law enforcement and local law enforcement as they encounter Washington, D.C. residents. I've spoken to residents from Cleveland Park to Tacoma Park to Shepherd Park. All these people are in parts of Northwest Washington and say that they have not encountered these federal agents yet. But stay tuned to the DC Blacks channel. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
Okay, so I think the reason they got that guy who was so versed in like war spy techniques is because President Trump has engaged in a war against the cartel. Check this out.
6 high-ranking cartel members, including top leaders from the Sinaloa, Jalisco, and Noreste cartels to the U.S. That also includes one suspect who is accused of participating in the 2008 killing of a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy. Attorney General Pam Bondi writing, quote, "These 26 men have all played a role in bringing violence and drugs to American shores. Under this Department of Justice, they will face severe consequences for for their crimes against this country.
We have Hudson Institute Senior Fellow and Foreign Policy Expert Rebecca Heinrich. She joins us now. Rebecca, good morning.
Good morning.
From what I'm reading, these 26 individuals, cartel members or leaders, I believe that the U.S. promised to seek the death penalty in order, as part of the deal to get them here. What's Mexico's, what is their incentive to send those folks here?
Well, if you remember, when the Trump administration designated the cartels as a foreign terrorist organization, obviously the Mexican government got incredibly nervous about that because that gives incredible power to the U.S. government to pursue the cartels. So the Mexican government is now cooperating with the U.S. government because it does not want U.S. forces going into Mexico to take care of the cartels, which have been a direct threat and have been terrorizing Americans, in which this administration is clearly not going to tolerate it. So what I find encouraging about this is the collaboration now between the U.S. government and the Mexican government, so that, the Mexican government doesn't get any more of the direct kind of ire and attention from the Trump administration.
Yeah, a major win for the Trump administration, because the last place these 26 cartel leaders would want to be is in U.S. custody. And our relationship with Mexico is unique when it comes to trade and also immigration.
Okay, so the guy that Eon was talking about, he might be the right guy for the job. Because from what I understand, the cartel, they're not little boys. They're not who you just go looking for a war with. So I want to touch on Eon's statement to some of the fellas thinking Trump coming their way. And it's really, I guess it's inevitable if you think about it. Think about his first administration when they had the George Floyd protests, the COVID situations, and a lot of the state governors they stood up against Trump. And I don't think he was like well versed in the Constitution, and therefore he kind of was held to bay while these states were burnt down. Miriam Bowser herself, she held him back from being effective in the district. If y'all recall, he stepped in when they burnt down the church because that was federal grounds. But she wouldn't let him really go too much further. She kind of sided with Nancy Pelosi and I think got herself in a bad situation. She speak about it right here. I'm gonna let y'all hear it when she say a few things. She kind of say that he's salty about that, and probably rightfully so. But I'll let her speak.
Before, and I'll repeat that I believe that the president's view of DC is shaped by his COVID era experience during his first term. And it is true that those were more challenging times related to some issues. It is also true that we experienced a crime spike post-COVID.
Okay. So let me get down to it very quick. What I feel is going on is, I told everybody I think war was going on, but I couldn't put my finger on the war. Because the wars abroad they're really not having an effect on us. So I know to have a war in the domestic side, you have to have civil war. So I think that's what's going on. So now with the other states, as Eon told y'all are not set up the way we are. Y'all are 4 states, y'all have sovereignty. It's the 10th Amendment. It's what they flirted with President Trump on his first administration. But I feel as though now he kind of went and got a little more versed in the Constitution. Like example, he used, to shut the border, he used something called the Enemy Aliens Act. And that made it so that he can just shut it right down. It's almost something like the Emancipation Proclamation that supposedly President Lincoln used about the Civil War back then. So that shut the borders down. Now, President Trump, after that, said, I'm going to take over all federal land, which Elon spoke about that as well. But what we don't know is that the United States owns federal land in every state, every single state. They own at least 30% in all of the states. Nevada, they own 80.1% of Nevada, which is 56.3 million acres. Alaska, Utah, Idaho, Oregon, California, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Montana, Connecticut. These states are highly federal land states. But these are not the states that we are talking about, because as we know, we're talking about strongholds for the Democratic establishment. So with that, you know the states we're looking for. So if you guys are part of probably New York, Minnesota, Maryland, Virginia, Michigan, and Illinois, I think it's a good chance he's going to come that way. These states do not have a high federal land mass, so they're pretty much sovereign to themselves. But as I said, I think President Trump hinted at something before. They had a trump card over the 10th Amendment, and that's the 14th Amendment. And what is the 14th Amendment? It said the 14th Amendment is the primary constitutional basis for federal intervention when states violate citizens' rights, and it was ratified in 1868. This is the law that says, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state provide any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection to those laws. That's the 14th Amendment. Now, this amendment empowers the federal government, especially through the courts, to step in when states fail to uphold civil rights, such as in cases of racial discrimination, denial of due process, or unequal treatment under the law. Now, that's where I think he's going to use the 14th Amendment. I think it was unequally treatment of the law when your representatives openly said their constituents were illegal immigrants. I think that's a violation. And I think he's going to try to utilize that to step into the states in a sense, demand compliance. Now, as Elon said, y'all do have the 10th Amendment, and that's a protection that us in DC don't have. But I'm going to read you something from the 10th Amendment. It says the 10th Amendment, it limits on federal power. The 10th Amendment reserves power not delegated to the federal government, to the states, or the people. While it affirms state sovereignty, it does not prevent federal intervention when constitutional rights are at stake. Courts have consistently ruled that the 14th Amendment overrides the 10th when states infringe on federally protected rights. So do you guys have a choice on him coming to your states? I really don't think that's the question. I think a better question is, like, where do you guys stand with that war? If he come into your states under the 14th Amendment, that means he's fighting for the protection of Black people. If you know the 14th Amendment, that's the case that overturned the Dred Scott case. Dred Scott case said that no Black person, free or enslaved, could be a U.S. citizen. And that came about, matter of fact, let me see something. It did have a part I wanted to. In the Dred Scott case, Dred Scott versus Sanford, 1857. That's when the Dred Scott case came about. It was infamous. Now, 1857, Dred Scott. 1861, Civil War started. 1868, the 14th Amendment came out. And it overturned the Dred Scott case, and it said that we are citizens, even the black people, slaves, or whatever. You are free. You got protection under the 14th Amendment. We found out that the 14th Amendment overrides the 10th Amendment with other states. So if President Trump saying that you guys, representatives, came into these states and protected migrants over as citizens, that may be a violation of the Constitution, and he probably do have the right to come in. Do you guys want him to? Are you bucking under certain ideologies? Matter of fact, are you content with the Democrat establishment? That's you guys' dilemma. And I think y'all probably need to be heard because we are on a national scale. Whenever you on a mainstream media, national scale, president issues on a world scale, that's national news right there. If you guys are not satisfied with your representation, this is probably the time to do it. With us here on the home front, we really need to find out what we're going to do because President Trump has clearly let it be known that you guys picketed or protested or something on his first administration. I remember everybody saying he in there scared, he hiding behind the door, all this and that. Not knowing that when you house the president, you can't be impartial. You got to be able to house a Republican or a Democrat. We failed in that regard. My mayor failed us in that regard, listening to Nancy Pelosi. So now we got to go through the bumps of their failures. They can't stand up now because a bigger bully in the house. Now they got to just sit around and take it. President Trump did a tour of our neighborhoods and he talked to us like we were like real dirty. He said we live in a squalor. I can't lie, we do. It's really bad. They talking about it's getting better, man. Stop it. It's a shame how we live. But that's what we got to do. We have to find out, are we capable of being inhabitants of the nation's capital? Because you can't be a partisan voter. You can't be a Democrat. You can't be a Republican. You have to be an impartial voter. You have to be a smart, that's called an educated voter. Those are swing states, so to say. During election year, all the politicians go to swing states because they trying to persuade them. They don't go to states that already have their votes made up. It's no use in going to them. It's no use to go to negotiate. I would love to negotiate during political years. More funding. But we learning now. I think we are going to go in the right direction. I mean, I think we need to find out who we want to put up there, how we want to educate them, how we want them to represent us. What issues we do not want to put on the scale. If you guys are running for DC mayor, do not insult us with no campaign about citizenship. And as a matter of fact, hold on, let me show you something. It's kind of ironic that we can do this, but listen to this.
Invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act.
That's the Home Rule Act. That's the act that he used to take over our state, the Home Rule.
You know what that is? And placing the DC Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control.
But that's the Home Rule Act. I need let me look for this. I need the one where it's talking about, I think this is here.
Is not going to happen. And that's the least of the.
Bowser's level of feel about Mayor Bowser's level of cooperation and her choosing to advocate for DC statehood right now. And
Well, the statehood, let me do that one. Okay. Statehood is ridiculous. We want to straighten the place out. Statehood's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. It's the Democrats want it because the Democrats have, about 95% of this little area. Even I didn't get it very much. They want that. They want to pick up 2 senators, and that's not going to happen.
Okay. Whether we fight that or not, we heard what he said. He said it's not going to happen. I do not want nobody coming telling me, let's fight for it anyway. Maybe it'll be a shot in the dark. No, what you need to do is become, if you're trying to be the mayor of DC, you got to become real knowledgeable in this field. You got to understand that you live in the same state as the president. You should have the president's ear. So when you go up in the House of Representatives, you don't have a vote, but you have an influential part in Congress. I think that's bigger than anything. And you could tell people how to move that's not in accord with their parties. It's more inside what the people need. And how this would look is, let's say Congress make laws. Congress make laws. How we get caught up in it is the Democratic grab side of it, the Republicans grab side of it. And they say, give me this bill for that bill. No, I ain't gonna give you that, but I'll give you this one for that one. They play around, and it's always us is gonna come out at the bottom. So I think we are educated enough to hear what Congress say they want. Congress always say what they want and how the law is going to go and what the funding they're going to get to achieve these means. We need to be able to hear the issues of the United States and say, okay, come and relay these messages back to our constituents, to our people, and say, these are the issues that best fit our goals during this administration or however it may go. That's what we're going to have to work on, man, because if not, it's going to be a time when you come to D.C., we're not going to have nobody. I mean, clearly, nobody. Because he's definitely going to cater to people who are more politically active. We do not even believe in the system, and it's about to get real with us. So I like what Eon doing. I like what a few of us are doing. It made me really see my cup halfway full. So let me get Mayor Bowser. This is I want to play this. This is when President Trump first administration, when he was trying to get control of our state, and Bowser was telling him, "No, I got it. You can't do nothing. This is my land." He had to step up and protect the federal land because there's a church. It's like in the back and on the side of the White House. The protesters burned it down, and President Trump said, "I got to step up." But check it out. This is the one that was right here.
Be remembered by history began on Monday with a walk across Lafayette Square that tested the bounds of presidential power. President Trump's decision to visit St. John's Church and the use of force to move out peaceful demonstrators, it sparked outrage from Americans across the nation who have protested the killing of George Floyd by a police officer. According to some reports, Attorney General William Barr personally ordered law enforcement officials to clear the area, and his role in the militarization of the federal response is now under increasing scrutiny. The president has been dismissive of critics, from leading members of the clergy to Republican senators to his former defense secretary, General James Mattis. But he remains defiant and buoyed by economic numbers on Friday that show the unemployment rate dropping to 13.3% in May from 14.7% in April. The president also invoked Mr. Floyd's name at the White House on Friday.
Okay. What I want to talk about now is the fact that it's a crucial time in this country. President Trump, he took over this country. He took it over. It's no sugarcoating it. Trayon White, he dubbed it first. He said this is a takeover, and it is. Our federal side is definitely, he took that over. All we need to be really worried about is where we stand. We need to learn how this little operation works and know that it's always a separation of power. Your federal government protects. That's the president. That's they protect the federal side. The federal side deals with other countries, foreign affairs, stuff like that. The state side that's us, the 14th Amendment. That's the protection of the states. I appreciate Eon coming with the information he brought. He showed you the layers of the protection that we have in the District of Columbia. And to some of you guys, I'm quite sure y'all y'all police force, 3,500 officers for 69 square miles, park police, National Guard. We have so many different agencies, but once you look at it like this, where the president lay, you see it a little different. You see it why the District of Columbia has to be an impartial state. We can't be a Democrat or Republican. The first time I ever seen a president being like protested was President Trump. And then I thought about it later, like how could you do that? Like now he's on a revenge trail, and the Democrats and all their little constituents or whoever they were with, nobody's there. It's just he's here. He's talking his talk, his big boy talk. He's talking to us. He's talking real bad about our neighborhoods, and it's like it's degrading, but it's a little uplifting because we do need this. We need the stuff cleaned up. We need to take him up on his offer and look at this like this is a restart for real. He's saying we living bad. Yeah, we living bad. This is the result of your political wars. You know, you had in political wars, all that trash come down to the streets. You fight over immigration, all that trash come to our neighborhood. So what you're seeing is the result of your wars. And the inability of whoever our leaders are to effectively clean up, whether they can on that. So people, I knew this was coming though. I knew it was coming. But the states, I really want to sit back and see how these states go. I think for a fact he's coming. I think he's going to them states. He's coming to them states. As you can see, he already got an army here. Every state he go to, he's going to pick up more people who are going to join the federal side. They side with the federal law. A lot of us feel that the federal law is law. And it is. Only until the states violate the citizens' right. When the states violate the citizens' right, the federal law is supposed to come in and protect our rights. That's how the law works. We know it don't really work like that in crunch time when you need it, but in theory, when they use it, this is what they go by. They have to find these laws to come in. So when he go to these other states, he's gonna go using some other law like the Home Act that he used on us. And you guys in them other states, y'all gotta find out what y'all want. Are y'all represented right? If not, let's rethink it, man. We need to become educated voters too, man. Stop begging and learn how to use the system on both sides. Learn how to benefit whether the Democrats win or the Republicans win. Because both of those are federal entities. They're supposed to be federal. They have nothing to do with our states. Our states supposed to be hearing issues. Because we got a two-party system, you have to, Congress give out an issue, both of them got to grab it. So that's where they confuse us there. But we need to just wait till they come up with the issues and we grab our own issues. But like I said, y'all don't have that matter. We got to deal with that. So As I said, man, E, I appreciate that info, man. You did a great thing. See, I got the picture up here, man. All the good men, man. Dang. Appreciate that, man. Y'all hold it up, man. And it's a DC politics, man. I'll get that y'all later, man.